Hello and welcome to The Brand Called You. I'm your host, Sandeep Tyagi, and the brand we are speaking with today is Manjusha Tipre. She's the co-founder and chief revenue officer of Yaala Labs and co-founder and executive director of ZeroBeta. She's also co-founder of Meridian Labs. She spent many years as a leader in Millennium IT and exchange technology firm, which later became known as LSEG Technologies, London Stock Exchange. She lives in Princeton, New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Manjusha.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My honor to be speaking with you today.
Many people find it difficult to manage one role. You are kind of competing here with Elon Musk in terms of number of companies you've co-founded and are operating in. Tell us, how do they fit into your world? Where do you spend most of your time?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, nowhere near Elon Musk and the impact that he has had on this planet. And, I don't even have probably the fraction of his brain cell power in my brain. But it's all just started organically as a part of the journey from my Millennium IT LSCG technology. My current companies are all sort of coming out of the team members from there. So somewhere around 2017, late 2017, early 2018, few of us got out and we were trying to just figure out what to do next in our life. As we've been working together for 15 to 20 years, all of these colleagues, we all had ideas. And the two companies were born and both of them wanted me part of it. They are very complementary to each other. They are all in the capital market life cycle that we have worked on before for 2 decades. So one focuses on issuance, trading, and matching engine. And the other one focuses on the middle office, market data, collateral management. So they all fit it in quite well together. Similar sort of market segment, fairly overlapping clients. And we all know each other for a long time. So I thought that just works well for me. And I have a very solid founding team, who I would say take care of a lot of things. So it's not like I'm trying to operate all of these companies just alone. We have executive management in place on both the companies.
That's great. So you're continuing to work with your old team colleagues from Millennium IT days. And the two companies are in slightly different but overlapping space. Now, these are Yaala and ZeroBeta?
That's right. Yaala Labs and ZeroBeta. So
tell us, you said that one is focused on exchange technology and the other is focused on middle to back office management and collateral management. Your focus has been in them. Your title is revenue officer. And tell us a bit more about what do you do exactly? Are you the market-facing arm, building the relationships? What's your role in terms of building technology? And how do you kind of divide your day-to-day focus in the companies?
Yeah, so my role has always been, though I'm a computer engineer by background, a technologist in early part of my career, but even in Millennium IT and LSCG technology, it was a market focus role that I have taken on. I have started multi-geography offices for operations for Millennium IT and had some obviously captive relationships over about 2 decades of expanding Millennium IT into Asia, North and South America. So just took the similar role here. I look after market strategy, trends, new technologies that are coming up and how they are going to impact our market segment. And obviously, the most important thing for any startup is to start revenue, get customers. So I focused on just pretty much building from zero, to get the revenues for both of these companies. I can't say I've split my time equally. It just what is where it is
what
required the
is
most,
needed.
where there is
Yeah.
more the fire. Yeah, and then just I think at some stage we hope to scale, and which is coming up now. We are fairly good scale on both the sides. So do the first round, and then start recruiting the sales staff in both of these. And I sort of go, elevate my role a little bit above the actual execution, because
Makes
as
sense.
they say, the founding team and the founders are able to sell their companies the best. So you can't
Right.
recruit a sales staff until you have had a couple of references and successes.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
We are coming to
Um,
that stage now.
that's good to hear. Now, at some level, exchanges and technology has been, closed book or electronic book trading, even requests for quote, or the methodologies through which people express their demand and provide the supply information has been unchanged for a long time. Now, what changes do you see? Why do new technologies and new companies need to exist? And how will they make a difference in this space?
Yeah, so as we've seen the technological evolution, right? I've been part of dating myself back a little bit, but I've been part of the evolution from trading system moving from mainframe and nonstop to commercially available hardware and distributed systems, right? That was the first step. Otherwise, you had this huge machine sitting somewhere, and that's the trading engine would run on that huge machine. We moved from there to smaller servers, distributed system, messaging system, and that was something that people felt wasn't possible at all, right? But that actually created a fairly large opportunities for new technologies and new innovations to come in. And in my previous life at Millennium IT, we actually literally created everything from proprietary technologies for that layer, right? Middleware, distributed software system. So I see the same sort of evolution of technology coming up in terms of the next gen of cloud native technology, right? The cloud is becoming very popular, but the capital markets are still not moved in there because of security, compliance, and many of the other reasons, data privacy. But that's the next step of evolution. Blockchain is changing capital markets quite a bit, and we are pretty bullish on it. So blockchain, again, is not answer to the whole problem. In terms of trading technology, market models, most of it will remain centralized. But when you talk about issuance, settlement, debt issuance, asset servicing, blockchain is a really good technology, which will not, I wouldn't say it will displace all the intermediaries, but it will change the role and make them more efficient, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to displace the intermediaries because they are there for a reason and they mutualize the risk in the entire life cycle. So you can't have a vertically integrated peer-to-peer model.
Yeah.
But I see
Though
a lot
some
of
models have emerged. Let's talk about blockchain and its impact. Some models have emerged where the whole exchange function is being replaced by blockchain, and demand and supply is being directly met on the curve, with the price discovery being determined by how many people provide stock into, or whatever asset into the exchange. Like Uniswap, for example. I'm sure you're familiar with what's happening there. How do you see that kind of a technology, which is just basically saying you provide the information in a different form and completely disintermediate both brokers and exchange by simply technology? You see that trend or something similar, or do you see it as mostly enabling existing business models and making them more efficient in terms of record keeping, making them more reliable, immutable?
Yeah, I see the happy medium, right? I don't see all the current infrastructure being displaced by a technology and just machines talking to each other and doing the trading. I feel that the technology is good for certain things and it's not good for certain things. So when it comes to issuance and post-trade, blockchain is a fairly good, given where it is today. It will evolve over a period of time, but it doesn't have the speed, transaction speed that's required in the fast-moving markets, right? So the matching is not a real right use case. But if you have a very liquid market where there's no liquidity, peer-to-peer trading is something that can happen. So the current intermediaries will change their role. Technology will bring efficiency. It will reduce the overhead that exists today. I mean, if you look at some of the structured debt products, right? Or if you look at some of these very centralized, there's so much of inefficiency there. I mean, just talk about immutable ledger, which everybody has access to, including the clearing, the regulators and everybody. The need for reconciliation and the saving that it will bring to the capital markets industry is itself justifiable for the use of that technology. It's going to take us a long time, but I don't see the entire world changing. And, I feel there's a happy medium where we'll find good use of technology where it brings efficiency, and then these intermediaries will change their roles, but still exist, because the risk doesn't go away, right? It's not technology risk. It's inherent collateral, and risk doesn't go away because of technology. And that's what we saw last year.
Yeah, though in certain markets, which because of their fragmentation, I know you work in fixed income as well. That's one market. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of bonds that float around. And it's very difficult to create central markets with them, because there is no standardization on how these things can be easily traded or become interchangeable. You just have so many tickers. So it ends up being a OTC product where people are trading through conversations and accessing the liquidity in many different ways. Do you see a role in that information dissemination, providing transparency to the marketplace differently than what has been done, particularly in OTC markets? Does that change?
That
because right now the information is very fragmented. Whether you go to fixed income market, currency markets, they tend to be mostly with large banks and or desks, and the pricing is not available like they are for equities.
Exactly, and opacity helps certain players in the system, so they want to keep it that way. But I think blockchain could be very useful there in terms of, especially for illiquid assets, right? There you could, first of all, have the registry of all of these different instruments in one single place, one single source of truth. And then a decentralized order book on the chain could be fairly useful to do the price discovery between the buyer and the seller. Or, that way, that use case is a fairly ripe one. Just some of the structured date instruments and how many parties are involved while issuing this, and then the servicing, just sending your coupon rates on the blockchain, pretty simple, right? You don't have to go through so many things. So those are areas I think the technology will bring a lot of efficiency over a period of time once it matures.
Good. Well, let's swing over to some of your personal journey and tell us a little bit on where you were born, what kind of a childhood impressions and experiences you had, and what shaped you into becoming who you've become.
Personal journey, very, very humble beginnings, Sandeep. I was born in a very small village in India called Karanja, which is in Maharashtra, and then moved to Akola, and most of childhood is in Akola. My father was a professor of English, only earning member of the family. We were 4 sisters. My mother, my grandparents used to live with me. So fairly humble and modest, but very happy childhood, very happy memories of, good times. Never felt we are sort of not having everything in life. It was always felt like Lot of fun, playing, lot of playing with, and just 8 members in the family. But my father was very sort of education focused, and he always wanted to give access to people. So nearby villages, if nobody had access to village, they could come and stay with us. So we had always like 15, 20 members in our house, and lots of fun. I'm sure my mother had to cook a lot, but we used to feel like it's a party every day.
Yeah. That's amazing. 8, 9 guests every day on average is a big number. But
Yes.
you're so right. When we grew up, I think for most of us, we would relate to this experience that from what we have today, in material terms, it may look like it is very different, but it doesn't seem to have the same amount of impact on happiness. So interesting observation.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, you got to find something to make you feel happy. And we were always told, right? It's not somebody else's responsibility to make you feel happy. It's your responsibility. And
Yeah.
it just had so much fun in the household doing things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So very happy childhood, very humble, very small village background.
Well, and it prepared you well. You've come far. Tell us some advice that you remember that you got maybe from your parents or family members or friends or a teacher that shaped you, that you remember, oh, I was in this situation and this is a conversation I had that changed my view.
Yeah, I mean, I profoundly remember 3 things, and three people or 3 men, I would say, very, very influential in my life, and they shaped my life, in terms of where I am today. First is my father, of course, always very progressive, coming from a small village, but I wanted to go to engineering college, and he said yes. And a lot of people said, "What are you doing?" Right? But he was the one who pushed. So his advice to me was, hey, do the right thing no matter what. Whatever the difficult situation comes into front, take the call based on what feels right to you as your gut level, right? And then my husband, again, very progressive man, pushed me to follow my career throughout my life, even though when kids were small, it used to feel really hard sometimes and feel uncomfortable. And he would be like, just start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's a growth. It's not
That's
something.
a good quote. Start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So he's the second one. And third one, my first boss, my founding CEO at Millennium IT, Tony Veerasinger. So we were a small startup then, pretty much in the garage, and we would go out and compete with the big incumbents like the NASDAQ technology and IC technology. And I would complain when something goes wrong that, Tony, we don't have these guys are spending so much money on marketing. Then he told me once, like, Manjusha, if you go to a war, you're not going to say, right, that guy has a AK-47 and I don't have a gun, I'm going to die. You got to fight. So that stuck with me throughout and, sort of helped me go and fight. So those 3 things, I think, shaped me really, really well in terms of taking on the world.
Learnings come from all directions. Another one source for many of us is the School of Hard Knocks. Did you sometime remember failing at something that shaped your view and has made you into a stronger leader?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are lots of failures, right? In personal, professional life. The one that I remember, and I don't know whether I would call it a failure today, but so I got out of my engineering college, and that was the first year Indian Air Force was opening up for female engineering batch. So I applied, and I was so keen that I'm going to go, and the whole entire family is up in the arms, and you can't be going to Air Force, and where will you stay? Where will you be deployed? We don't know. And I am like, I was so adamant and so stubborn on it that I will be the first person out there to go and join the Indian Air Force. And ultimately, I applied. My father again stood behind me and sent me there. We went for a Dehradun training camp, and initial screening happened, and a lot of initial things I cleared. And finally, I got at the physical level, and I was not qualified because
Oh. Hmm.
physically, not strong enough, or not probably underweight, and many criterias didn't match up. So that felt like the end of life kind of failure.
Hmm.
Then,
Hmm.
looking back, I guess it all worked out.
Yeah.
But that really mattered
And did
then
you
in life.
take that feedback and kind of started working out and training?
Yes,
And
yes. Started getting a little stronger. Started,
yes, yeah. Good. That's an interesting learning. Now, I'm going to transition to yet another section. I call it on the spot.
Okay.
So, I'll ask you a bunch of quick questions, and whatever pops into your head is the right answer. So don't worry too much. And just to get to know you better, who do you think is the best entrepreneur ever?
Tie for me between Elon Musk and Steve Jobs.
Okay. If you could meet a historical figure for dinner, who would you like to meet and what would you talk about?
Ahilyabai Holkar.
Okay, well, tell us. I don't think a lot of people know much about her. So tell us what would
Yeah, so
be.
she's the first woman in the 17th century. She was a queen of the small Maharashtrian empire. And she actually opened up education, and she did a lot of reform for women. She opened up education for women. She's the first woman who got educated herself and then opened that up. She also, created a law for remarrying the widows in India. So at that point in time, to take on these issues and fight for them, despite fear of losing your family and society and everything, I just feel like that courage is something so unbelievable, and it paved the way for girls like me today. So I
Yeah.
would love to talk to her
Yeah.
about how she did it and how she got that courage, from where she got it.
Okay. What is your biggest concern about the state of the world today?
I think my concern today, I'm a technologist, so I'm fascinated by the way the world is changing because of technologies, but my concern is the societal impact that it may have, in terms of humanity. I think before we get to the happy stage where machines will start doing all the work and we'll get a universal basic income, there is going to be a fair amount of turbulence. There are going to be people left behind in this skill gap, So I fear for that and see what can be done. It would be a fairly large problem for somebody me like to make much of a difference, but I keep thinking about it all the time.
So, a last one of this. If you had a 3-hour meeting that suddenly got canceled and you have a free afternoon, what would you do?
I would go for a walk with my husband, provided he's available at the same time. Yeah, but I would go for a walk. I love outdoors. Go for a walk or a bike ride. We have some beautiful trails around here by the canal. So yeah, that would
That's
be
what
the
it is,
perfect
huh?
thing.
Physical activity outdoors, perfect. I wanted to ask you about something else. I know you're active in Thai, and you are also going to be taking over as Thai president in New York. Tell us more. What does it mean to you? How do you see it as part of your portfolio of things that you give your time and energy to? How does it fit in, and what plans do you have?
Thai is, for me, is basically Thai's motto, which sort of really came close to my heart, is fostering the next generation of entrepreneurs, right? I wouldn't say I have made it and I'm still on my journey, but having got the learnings that I have got in the process, I would like to pass it on to the next generation. It's also giving back, right? So again, growing up, I saw my father even though he had to take care of such a big family, he had a job, he would still give a couple of hours of his day, give doing something for the society. So that kind of, again, is ingrained in me that you got to give back at no matter what stage in life. And TAG gives me that perfect platform because it fosters entrepreneurship for the next generation. So I could do some contribution there.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Last question. What is brand Manjusha Tipre in your own words?
Making a positive impact. Whatever I do, I would like to, whether it's through my companies, to the market, technology, or at the family or the community service, if I can touch upon multiple lives and make some positive impact on everybody's life, I would be happy with that brand.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Manjusha Tipre, always positive and creating value. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandeep. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.